Waiting to see if you can see me. I think you can. Are we live? Yay! Oh, it will start automatically, Jenny Nelson. Thanks, you guys. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. Welcome, 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 welcome to this beautiful space, which is one of my favorites. There's a lot of different places that I join you online, but this is one of my favorites. Welcome to Cosmic Comfort. That's where you are right now. And if you're in need of a little comfort, a little uplifting, a little, I don't know, something to shift your paradigm a little bit, that's what I'm here for. I'm thrilled to see you. Aloha. I'm so happy that you're here. And I hope you're having a blessed day too, Jaleesa Coyle or Doyle. Thank you for that beautiful wish for all of us. Thanks for that, you guys. And so I'm so happy. A lot of you I know and are very familiar to me. It is 3:33. Isn't that cool? You noticed that, Lillian? Oh, yes. Is anybody new? Like, I don't know, new to me or new to this or new on the planet? I always like to know and make sure that I welcome you. And what I always like to say is if you're new today, you're not going to be new for long because these peeps are your new best friends that you didn't know you had. Caroline is somewhat new. Marianne is new. Look at that. And Lena. Angelic is new. Gosh, it's going fast. So first time joining, a lot of newbies, a lot of people who are new just to Cosmic Comfort. So anyway, just know I'm really happy that you're here. Thank you for taking an hour out of your Thursday to come and hang with us. I hope, I believe that what I have to share with you is good. It feels divinely inspired. And I'm glad that you guys missed it. So I created Cosmic Comfort a while ago, and then like everything just got kind of busy, and I wasn't sure everybody was into it. And I only like to do things when I feel like they're needed in the field. And so we didn't do it for a little while, and then there was such a complete and synchronous message that this is an important space that we were like, we have to do it. So it's back for good. It's a monthly offering at this point, and it's just a little pick-me-up in the middle of your month, in the middle of your week, in the middle of your universe. Just a little love. That's so cool. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you, Tracy from Kentucky. Wonderful that you're here. Special case, somewhat new. I love the somewhat new. It's kind of like being pregnant, right? Like, are you somewhat pregnant? You can be kind of new. Anyway, happy Thursday. So I have some of your questions here, but I'm going to tell you what my spirit guides were asking me to do for you today, is talk to you about the directions. People ask me all the time, Nadi's like, I am very pregnant. And Jules told me not to go there. You guys crack me up. What's in the field right now is a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. Like when I go live, the minute I mention the word anxiety, the minute I mention the word depression, and the minute I mention the word stress, emotional stress or physical stress or anything like that, the feed just goes, right? And so the first thing I want you to know is if you're experiencing a lot of stress, Renee Nelson, right? You're not alone. The challenge, I think, for a lot of us, interesting, Kyle's been asking his spirit guides about the direction. So, hello, I may have created today's situation just for you. And I'll try to get to your questions too. Well, cannabis helps with stress. A lot of things help with stress. And so part of what I want to give you today is more energetic medicine. I like to call energetic medicine on the go. It's always available to you. It doesn't matter whether you have a crystal or have an oil or have a smudge bundle or whatever. I like you to have tools that are just that you carry with you all the time. And that's what energetic medicine is. It is knowing exactly what to say, how to drop into a deeper state of awareness, how to work with spirit guides and guardians of the sacred gateways. Because in those moments, and I don't know about you, but right? Because when I get really stressed, and maybe this is you too, It's never when I'm at home with all of my tools and sitting in front of my altar. It's when I'm in the car and I have nothing. Or I'm out doing something with the kids and I have nothing. Or I'm at the grocery store and I have nothing. Those are the moments where I'm like, something happens and throws me off. And so certainly you can pack things with you to carry with you, but I like to, or in the parking lot at work, right? Like in those moments, you need to be able to work magic too, and you may not have tools to support you. So after today, I'm hoping that that's what you'll have. I would like you to experiment with me today, not using any tools. Would you be willing to try that? Sometimes it's good to bring it right back to the basics. And so I'm going to teach you about a couple of tools that align to the directions that I like to use, but I would like you to think about not doing anything except just being present for the next, 50 minutes, right? Because again, like, I like to think of tools as like the whipped cream on your sundae. They're great, they're helpful, they're beautiful, they magnify energy, they intensify frequencies and vibrations, they attract energies to you, like great, great, great. We love all of that. But the sundae itself is you. I always try to remind people you are the magic, right? And the irony is I sell sacred tools for a living. That's how I support my team. That's how I take care of my family. It's part of why I incarnated. My spirit guides wake me up in the middle of the night saying, you have to create this, you have to sell this, you have to source this, you have to make this. Like legit, at least 2 nights a week I get awakened in the middle of the night saying, go get this, go make this, go do this. My team would tell you, I send them really bizarre emails, sometimes in the middle of the night. Sometimes I do audio recordings. Like, we got to make this, it's got to look like this, it's got to have this. I mean, it's all channeled. So I'm not saying tools aren't important. I don't think my spirit guides would be on me practically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I wrote 3 books in the last 12 months. And they were all really channeled books. So I don't think that would happen if books and tools and stuff weren't important. But I think, again, you have to look at how whether that's the cake or the icing on the cake. You know what I mean? And the cake has to be you in sort of a solid practice. Esme says she chants a lot, and I love chanting too, and toning and sound is really, really, really important. Sound is so important. We haven't even figured out, sound is the final flippin' frontier, you guys. For all kinds of challenges that we're facing now in the 21st century that we weren't facing 100 years ago. Sound is the way in for a lot of people to the magic. Scent is the way in for other people. Touch is the way in for other people. Taste, right? Clairgustance is a psychic gift, and it's clear taste. That's, if you think the chefs of the world are not magicians, let me urge you to reconsider. And they are magicians. They're manipulating reality through one of your senses, right? And so all of your senses are magical. But when you're stressed, isn't it hard to find the magic? When you're stressed, it's like your automatic reaction is the opposite of everything you know is good or accurate or true, right? Right? Yeah, clairgustance, clear tasting. I don't have that gift, but I have other gifts. That's really true. All right, so we can dig into all of that, and I think today's conversation is going to be really good for you. If you missed my hour on Instagram earlier today, I know a lot of you were there, but if you missed it, it's in the story. It only lasts for a day, but that's kind of a juicy hour of Q&A too. So if you want more insight, like some of the questions you're asking were actually answered. Thank you for that, Kyle. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you truly for being there and for bringing your spirit. Did you like it, Renee? Bringing your spirit, to that space, because it wouldn't be the same experience for you if other people weren't there. It's not just about me and what I'm offering. So thank you for your presence. I really appreciate it. Now you're making me laugh, Pamela. So we're going to talk about that. I also try to teach you good protocol during our gatherings. So I'm going to smudge for you. This is Salvia apiana, or white sage, as it's known more popularly. This is actually where Sage Goddess started 8 years ago in July. I made a little white sage and rose and lavender bundle, and the rest is literally history. So into that smoke, I want you to let go of anything that is distracting you right now, anything that's concerning you, anything that's causing you anxiety. So good to see you guys. Hi, Scarlett. How are you? Sherry's going to sage too. It's fantastic. Hi, Rachel. Let go right now. Tell yourself that for the next 45 minutes, you're mine, and all of your problems and anxieties and concerns will be right there waiting for you. But for right now, give your soul and your body and your even your mind this 45 minutes to plug into a different source of energy, right? And that's part of what I love about teaching too. Like, you know, and I work with different teachers, because every teacher that you have plugs you into a different battery, a different energy source. And I'm one energy source, but there are lots of energy sources. And I think the more that you learn and the more you discern how you work with different kinds of frequencies, the faster you heal. I really believe that with all my heart. Yeah, it's like the Energizer Bunny in a way. Ooh, and Shanora is burning some copal. I love that. So I'm glad you're here, Jessie B. Wild. Ursula canceled another commitment to be here. That really means a lot to me. It really does. What I have learned, and maybe it's just me and the place I'm at in my life, is that the most precious thing someone can give you is their time. If someone gives me 45 minutes, that to me is so much more valuable than something that they put in a box and wrap with a ribbon and give to me as a gift. Because time is our most precious resource. It's the resource that we have the least of, usually. And there's always competition for it. You could be doing a dozen other things right now. So I find that time is a gift. And I could be doing a dozen other things too. But in some ways, there's nothing more important than this moment with all of you, because there is a shift in the consciousness of our planet that's happening. And you know, I don't even quite know how to articulate it just yet. You know, I'm feeling into it and I'm sensing what it looks like and what it's requiring of me, you know, and what it's going to require of you. I'm feeling into that. But there's a shift happening in our consciousness. And I think at the end of the day, it's a positive. I think we're going to come out of this with an enhanced global awareness, but I think the process is sort of like labor during childbirth, right? It's messy and it's a little uncomfortable, but we're working through it together. So thank you for that, Pilantano one. I really appreciate you too. Aho. All right. A couple of the questions that you wrote in, by the way, just because I'll try to come back to your questions as I go through what I'm going to share with you this evening. Working on not judging yourself and not judging others, and how do you do that? Like if you want to be kind and loving toward people, but then stuff happens and it's hard not to go into anger and judgment. So I think we're going to end up talking a little bit about that tonight, just in the course of our time together. Another question or comment was, I've forgotten how to play. I've forgotten how to feel joy in the ongoing nightmare of adulting in corporate America, you know, and how do you balance work and play and work through stress? How do you stop comparing your life to other people? How do you know what your purpose is here? And what if you're just feeling stuck? I want to stop feeling jealous and feel happy that I'm living the life that I love, right? And I'm sharing this because, you know, these people aren't alone, right? Like this is kind of in the collective consciousness a little bit, a lot of these feelings. And then when people say negative things, especially people you live with and you're close to, like family, what's the best way to handle that? Should you ignore it or suggest a different perspective? How can we help others see their negativity without offending them too, which is an interesting question, right? And so a couple of things I want to say about this, and then as we talk about the elements today, and I want you to see today's session, our time together, as a kind of meditation. It really can be if you want it to be. When I start to talk to you about the elements, I would love for you to drop in and see where it takes you a little bit. But a couple of things I want to say in response to these questions. The most important thing that you can do is commit right now to not having such serious and intense expectations of yourself and everyone around you. You know, and one of the most important things I think, at least I try to do, is model a little bit of self-acceptance and humility. Like, I'm not perfect, I don't have all the answers, I can't fix it all today. But that's not what is necessary. What is necessary is showing up in the world, doing the best that you can, and living and leading from a place of love, right? And so it's like, the judging of yourself and the judging of other people comes from a place of assuming that there is some ideal that we should all be working toward. And when people fall short of it, we judge them, or when we fall short of it, we judge ourselves. And I try to look around my life, and I will say it's not easy to do, right? But even as a parent, I try to look and I try to say, these are sovereign beings. I want to raise them to be good humans who are kind to others and respectful of this planet. But these are sovereign humans. I'm not here to control their minds or at the end of the day, they're going to have to live independently and have their own thoughts and feelings and experiences and emotions. And if you look at everyone in your life with that same, that's a loving perspective. That's me as their mother, right? One of the people who loves them the most in the world. But I try to look at other people like that too, even when I'm angry. I try to take almost a maternal perspective. You know how your mom, when you were having a shitty day, my mom anyway, would actually stop and say, she's tired. You know what I mean? I remember being young and my days were sometimes really long, for different reasons. And I would have a meltdown. And I can remember my mom saying, I know you're upset right now, but I also know you're tired. Let's have a meal. Why don't you take a nap? You know what I mean? You'll feel better when you wake up. I remember my mom doing that. I sometimes feel the same way about other people. I try not to make excuses for people, but I also look and I say, when someone is not kind, you know what I mean? Or someone acts out in social media or something like that, I do try to stop and say, what's going on there? Because it isn't happy, healthy, well people who are angry and rude and mean. It is hurting, wounded, tired, exhausted, drained, traumatized people who go through the world creating harm like that, to some extent. And so if I go around judging everybody, oh, that person is a jerk and this woman is unstable and this, if I went through life like that, I wouldn't be able to stop in the same breath and say, I wonder if she's tired. I sometimes look at people and I think, that person just lost a family member, or, and it's let them move through that anger. Can you hold compassionate space without making it personal? You know what I mean? And just go, that's not a person who needs someone else to be mean to them on top of how hard the world has been on them. That's someone who actually needs a hug. That's someone who actually needs someone to look at them and say, I'm really sorry that you are going through what you're going through. And I wish I could make it better for you. I can't, but I do at least want you to know that I see you. I see you struggling. And I wonder if there are some steps that you could take, small steps that you could take to try and get back to your center, And sometimes, that's true, right? Amy Novak says, witness, not internalize. Sometimes you can't get through to people, But so for all of you who are not wanting to judge, and when people say negative things that you live with, what do you do about that? What I have found is if you don't stoop to the level, if you try to keep your vibe higher, eventually that person will want to acclimate to your frequency, or not, and that's okay too, right? Not everybody has to vibe with each other. But I prefer not to lower my frequency down to their level. I prefer to hold my frequency and wait and see if they'd like to come in and align to that. I always call it being the thermostat and not the thermometer. I like to try and calibrate the temperature, raise the temperature, rather than lower the temperature to try to fit in. And so, but I'll tell you something, if I'm honest, that's kind of lonely sometimes. When you're trying to shift a paradigm and hold the space and be compassionate, it can be lonely, it can get exhausting, right? But it's also, when you choose to maintain your frequency and vibrate higher, to Maria's comment, when you choose to do that, that actually is a source of energy for you. You will maintain a more constant energy stream. People ask me all the time, how do you do what you do? I've been doing Sage Goddess for 8 years, right? I pretty much do it around the clock. I wake up in the morning, it's the first thing I'm thinking about. I'm in social media, I'm in the groups, what's going on? I'm thinking about this person who lost their mother, and I'm thinking about this other person and wanting to check in. Did they post last night? Did they follow up in the comments? The last thing before I go to bed, I'm like, okay, let me see what's happening there. If I didn't love what I do and have the ability to maintain my frequency, there's no way I could do it for 8 years. Not with 1 million people. So it's about sustainability. And I think for you guys, it's about figuring out what's sustainable for you. And then how do you get fed? And hopefully that's what this time is. This time is, I'm going to feed you. My intention is that the words behind my words are also a source of nourishment for you. Do you know what I mean? Like the energy that I'm holding and the container that I'm trying to create for you is one where I'm trying to pour out of my chalice into yours a little bit to fill you back up so that you can go back out in the world and say, you know, all right, I can do this. I have the skills. I have the awareness. I got some tools. I'm not doing this alone, right? Like that's the intention. I'm glad, because it's not easy. I mean, none of these questions that you asked have easy answers. To the point about I've forgotten how to play and how to feel joy in the process of adulting in, you know, a corporate job. Of course, I mean that is not a container or an environment that's designed to cultivate joy. And we get into this, you know, despair, like I said, comes from feeling like you're alone. And I think we get into this feeling of like, is this all there is? Am I just here to do this job, feed these kids, be that person's partner, go to bed, get up, do this job, feed them, but you know, is that really all it is? And so the number one thing is you have to recognize that is not all there is to it. And what I was telling my students last night, think about it this way. If I gave you, the quickest way to find out why you're here and how to get back to joy is to answer this question. If I gave you 1 month and I told you that all you could do for that month was something that brought you joy, you couldn't work, you couldn't take care of anybody else, you only had you time, and you had to do something that you enjoy from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday for that month. When you come up with the answer to that question of what you would do, that is a really big hint to you about why you're here. And it's also a hint to you about what you need to do to play to feed your soul. So if the answer is, I would go to, that's right, Pamela said, you know, she would be a weed nun. And I was like, that sounds like fun. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate you too. And honestly, I really am trying to change the world. But in a very subtle way and on an energetic level, that I am trying to plant little seeds of joy. And I think when you plant that seed, somebody else will come along and enjoy the tree or the fruit or the herb or the flower that seed creates. And your job in life is to try and plant as many seeds like that as you can in the time that you have. And it's not easy because, you know, do you ever think about what a wild game this is? You know, there's free will. There's people who are from all different levels of energetic frequency, right? I think there are certain people on this planet, it's my own philosophy, but I think there are certain people on this planet who are here to actually disrupt and sometimes to create confusion, all in service of forcing us to evolve and grow. And so it's like such a crazy game, isn't it? Sherry said, can you make it 3 months? If I could, I would. I actually think that the most powerful gift you can give to people is space and time to think. I really do. I think it's such a rare commodity because we're all in such a hurry all the time. But when you have 15 minutes and just to explore your mind and ask yourself, what would bring me joy right now? A piece of chocolate? Great. Go get a piece of chocolate. What would bring you joy right now? Taking a long bath? Okay, great. Well, go take a bath. You know, it's like I wish I could create pockets of joy for people. And it doesn't take much and it doesn't take long. And sometimes it's good to ask people in your life, like, what would bring you joy? And when they tell you, like, see if you can create that with them, especially with a partner. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people come to me when their relationships are on the edge of destruction. And what I always tell people is, I don't think the first answer when you're having relationship troubles is to leave your partner. I think the first answer when you're having relationship troubles is to figure out what your partner needs and to see if there's a way to receive what you need and also give your partner what your partner needs too, and create joy together and laugh a little bit together. But it's like everything gets so serious that we go, I don't want to laugh, or I'm not here to, make that person happy. And it's like, well, right, Teresa? You and I are on the same wavelength, girl. Hawaii is where my soul rests. And I'm getting ready to go before too long, so I'm very excited for my annual trip. Okay, so this is actually a really, and then when people say negative things, do you ignore it or do you suggest a different perspective? 99% of what people say to you about you is actually about them. Maybe it's 100% of what people say to you about you is actually about them. And the reason I can say that to you is psychological. As human beings, our first natural instinct is to care about ourselves. We aren't really all that interested in other people, if you boil it down. Some people are. I mean, I'm kind of fascinated by people. But when I am critical of someone, when I say, oh, I didn't like her, I mean, I don't very often, but it's like, oh, I didn't like her dress, or she didn't say the right thing, or that wasn't very smart, or whatever. If I'm honest, that's some shit about me. You know what I mean? Like, if I say, well, I didn't like her thing, maybe I'm jealous that she has it. Or like, well, I didn't think that was very smart. Maybe I'm insecure about my own knowledge. So what I have found really works, right? Well, in gossip, I was telling my students this too. I am an empath, Patricia, I would say. I'm more a channel. The word empath is, I struggle with it because if I'm a linguist by training, and so you go back to sort of the root word, and empath is really about having, a depth of compassion for the experience of the other, which I think everybody's an empath because we all can, to some extent, understand people's experiences. Even if we haven't had them, we can mentally sort of process. But I think I'm a channel. In other words, a lot of guidance from the spirit world comes through me in different ways. And a lot of you are channels too. My rule with gossip, I don't do it. The one thing I can promise you, whether you're my personal friend or you're my online friend, some of you overlap and are both, I will never talk about you behind your back. I don't do it. I think it is the lowest possible vibration. My rule is if I can't say it to your face, I'm not going to say it behind your back. And when people come to me and they go, did you hear blah, 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 blah? I was telling my students, I used to get private messages on Facebook from people and they would say, did you see this post? And did you see what this person said? And oh my God, she posted this and blah, 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 blah. And since I've really been public about not being willing to be a host for that kind of crap, people never message me anymore. I think they realize that it's not interesting. You know what I mean? But you know what? You teach people how to treat you. And what I tell people is, all I ask in return is that you also don't talk about me behind my back. I won't do it to you. Don't do it to me. And then when you hear people and you hear, but I also like to ask people I heard this. Can you confirm this? Is this how you feel? Can we talk about it? And that oftentimes will get people to stop their gossip stuff. Because when they actually have to talk about it to your face, that's awkward. And I don't avoid awkward interactions. I'm actually really okay with them. So I'm totally fine saying, hey, I got this email and it said that you said this. And so I was just wondering if you could maybe tell me more about that. And then people will be like, I was intoxicated, or yeah, that was not my best self coming forward or whatever, right? That's right, Sharon Westline. So what I teach is to be in clean relationship, which means cards are on the table. And clean relationships are tricky because a lot of people like to be in unclean relationships, because unclean relationships mean you're not responsible for what you do and they're not responsible for what they do. And so it's kind of a free-for-all. But then you end up in these gossip traps and in this, all this other stuff, and that doesn't work either. Carl is asking, how do you deal with a person that is mentally cruel to you? Sometimes you need to put space between you and another person, and it's okay to say that. It's okay to say, you know what, I honor the divine in you, but I can't, for my own sovereignty, I can't be in this kind of exchange with you. And so I would love for you to take the time and the space that you need to heal, but in the meantime, until you can come to this table from a different place that's at least respectful of me and my humanity and my soul, then you and I can't be in relationship because there's no sacred in this. There's no exchange in this, right? Namaste from a distance, right? Thanks, you guys. I appreciate that. So this is actually a really good segue into the direction. So I want to invite you to roll your shoulders back. I'm going to open a little circle. Well, my mom was not so subliminally judgmental. My mom, actually, if she was here, would probably say that she's, would be honest about that. Some people just have a lot of opinions. Right? Some people just have a lot of opinions. How about for people who watch you suffer instead of stepping in and offering support? Folks who can afford to do that. Well, that's a whole different level, right? Remember this, you guys, before we go into the directional information. This information will save you a lot of heartache if you can really integrate it, okay? Everyone, I believe, is doing the best they can from their personal level of spiritual awareness. You cannot expect other people to meet you from your level of awareness. It's your level of awareness. If I go through life expecting that every person I meet is going to know all about crystals and they're going to understand energy and they're going to know how to create space for me and they're going to be compassionate and they're going to understand what it means to work in sacred... if I expect all of that, I'm going to be really disappointed all the time. So you have to... My mom's an Aquarius, but she's got a lot of water underneath all that air. But that's really true. So what I've learned is I never expect anybody to engage with me from my level of awareness. When I start interacting with you, my job is to figure out what your level of awareness is and calibrate to you. Doesn't mean I have to lower my vibration, but it does mean I have to understand where you're coming from, because otherwise I can't communicate with you. So if I'm talking from my level of awareness and you're talking from your level of awareness, that's not communication. Communication requires that I have some understanding of where you're coming from so that I can tailor what I'm offering and sharing to in a way that will resonate with you, right? We're just talking about communication and people who don't know how to be in clean relationship with each other. And if you go around expecting clean relationships with people who have no idea what that even means, taking responsibility for their energy and being mindful in relationship and managing their own energy levels and frequency, like that will set you up for some failure in relationships, I think. What's my definition of integrating? It's a great question, Amy. My definition of integrating is that you embody what you know. You embody what you know, which means when you're stressed, you work the medicine. When you're happy, you work the medicine. When you're afraid, you work the medicine. But you don't work the medicine just when it feels good, and then when it gets stressful, you're like, well, fuck that. I'm going to go back to my old ways and pretend like I don't know better. Like, that's integration for me. Right, Hunter? Well, a lot of people, Lisa, have never been in a clean relationship before. They've never had an expectation of honesty and integrity and candor in that relationship. And even for me, like I didn't expect it. I didn't understand it my whole life. It's really only been in the last couple of years that I have cleaned all of my relationships. I would say even more so the last 12 months. Like really tidied them up. I don't have a lot of unclean relationships now. And and it starts to feel boring because there's no more drama. Some people really like drama, and drama comes from unclean relationships. So then they get into clean relationships and people are like, this shit's boring. And I'm like, well, all that drama and the roller coasters that you were on were because you were in unclean relationships. So now boring is accurate. Boring is peaceful. Boring is not riding a crazy roller coaster of emotions all day, every day, right? Drama is poop. That's right, Ursula. It is. Okay, let's begin. So I'm going to walk you through the 4 directions. And what my spirit guides told me to tell you this is an exercise, a meditation. I'm 45. I'll take boring all day long, I swear. The wild ride roller coaster freaky relationship stuff was in my 20s. I am a more evolved human. This is an exercise in greeting the guardians of the 4 sacred gateways for self-mastery. And I open the circle every time we do a full moon ritual, every time we do new moon, when I teach classes. But I kind of want to take a step back tonight and like really talk about what that means. When we approach the west or the east or the south or the north, what does that mean? And so what I'm going to give you tonight, this little meditation I'm going to take you through right now, is something that you can do anytime, anywhere. If you're stressed, afraid, angry, resentful, bitter, sad, going through grief, it's going to bring you some peace. And so that's my intention tonight with this particular exercise. And if you want to have notes for this, you can take notes now. There's also some kind of transcription thing on YouTube, so I think you can get like the basic upshot of it. I'm so glad you guys are feeling good. Okay, so I want you to imagine, the wheel of the year, the wheel of time, and of course the wheel of the directions. If you've seen the Lakota medicine wheel, it has these 4 quadrants, right? Quad means 4. And each quadrant is a gateway to a direction, one of the 4 directions. And each of the 4 directions is held by a different guardian or set of guardians who hold that element. And I want you to close your eyes for just a minute. Yeah, this is a great one to share, Hunter, with your daughter or anybody. This is a good one for kids. It's easy for them. You know what I mean? Kids understand a lot of this metaphysical stuff better than adults do. I always say, don't underestimate your children or your nieces and nephews. They saw God since you did. So they have had a lived experience of the divine more recently than you have, right? So always, like, I look at my kids as these little wisdom keepers because I don't have to explain that much to them. But then people say, well, I should wait till they're older to introduce them to these things. And I'm like, really? I don't think you do. In fact, I think you're going to be surprised at how much they already know. It's true. Okay. Every time I look at a baby, that's what I think. You just saw God. What was it like? Tell me your stories. Oh, wait, you can't talk. That's okay. Anyway, okay. So I want you to close your eyes. We're going to begin in the east, as we always do. We go clockwise east to north in our work with the elements, because the east is, each one of the directions corresponds to a time of day. And in the east, that's dawn, right? That's the beginning of a new day. It's beautiful, isn't it? And so I want you to imagine in your mind, just close your eyes, and I want you to imagine you can physically turn to the east, or just imagine that you're facing the direction of east, wherever you are in the world. I sit right facing the Pacific coast, right here. So east is always directly opposite to my left. So I want you to imagine you're facing the eastern direction. And this gateway, in my mind, is always the most beautiful golden gateway of the dawn, of the new day, the new beginning. The eastern direction is all of those colors of yellow and gold and sort of mustard tones. And so I want you to think of the color yellow. I want you to feel the energy of dawn. I used to live in a place on the San Francisco Bay where I could see sunrise. My house faced the East Bay toward Oakland. And I got to see the sunrise every morning. And it was just the most beautiful experience. I've never lived in a house facing east before. And it's the one thing I miss about living in the Bay Area. So I just watched that sun. For my job, I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning every morning because I held all of our Southern Hemisphere accounts. And so I started calls at 4 in the morning with Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. Mostly South Africa at that point. And so I remember I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and have my coffee and watch that sunrise and sit on the phone, and beautiful memories. So I want you to imagine this beautiful golden gateway. See that sun rising up over the mountains. And I want you to feel the energy of dawn in your body for just a moment. A new day, a new beginning. Nothing from yesterday matters. This is the breath of fresh air. And in the eastern direction, here are the energies that you can work with. Are you really, Angel? How beautiful. So the directional energies of the east are air energies, spaciousness, room to breathe, clarity of thought process, imagination, visions and dreams, and heightened awareness. And so as you face this beautiful golden gateway, I'm going to call in the guardians of this gateway to greet us here. And guardians of the Eastern Gateway, give us an experience in our body, mind, and spirit right now in this moment of what Eastern energy feels like. Create for us a little pocket of spaciousness in our minds, room to think. Create that pocket of spaciousness in our hearts. Eastern energy feels like somebody giving you a break or a vacation or telling you to take your time. My 3 favorite words in the English language when they're put together are take your time. Have you ever noticed that people smile when you tell them that? If someone's rushing at the grocery store to put your groceries in a bag and you say, you know what, take your time. Have you ever noticed they immediately go, because we never give ourselves time. We never say, I have enough time. I'm not in a rush. Take your time. It's okay, right? Everything's possible here in the East. And I want you to imagine that flying high above you, you can see a beautiful hawk maybe, or eagle medicine is Eastern medicine too. These high flying, beautiful birds with this expansive wingspan who just soar above. The Eastern direction, I've got chills all over my body too, right now from this. The Eastern direction is not in a rush, and the Eastern direction is not involved. In the East, we fly above our problems. We're not in the mix of it. We helicopter up. We take more of that 30,000 foot view, right? What's actually happening? If I take myself out of this, if I give myself room to breathe, if I give myself room to think, if I allow myself space to process, what's actually going on? And so it gives you a little bit of critical distance. Yeah, I think so. Eighth Sinner is asking, should orgonites be made with different crystals in each side? I think so, actually, to correspond with the directions. And I'm going to show you the different crystals that I like to work with. So in the East, citrine is one of my favorite crystals. The East governs all the solar plexus crystals. So you could use yellow fluorite, you could use yellow aventurine. Pyrite is an Eastern directional mineral too, but citrine's my favorite. Citrine's empowering. Citrine is expansive. It's really important for manifestation and for alchemy, right? Sherry just saw a hawk today. I just saw a beautiful hawk flying yesterday, right over my house. I went outside to pick some flowers and some lavender, and right above was a beautiful hawk circling, and so beautiful. Again, that's just that expansive wingspan. And you get this feeling when you watch those high-flying birds that like nothing can touch them, right? Like they're so far above it. And the freedom that you feel when you watch them, right? Like no limitations, no obstacles, complete room to move and to breathe. Yellow jasper, certainly. Thank you for that suggestion too. So as you face this gateway, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions tonight. In the East, what can you surrender? And in the East, what can you receive tonight? And so if you're struggling with anxiety or depression or, any intense emotions, the East gives you a buffer. Take a step back. Float just a little bit above. Hover above. Ask yourself, what if? Explore different scenarios. Don't judge. Don't assume an outcome, right? Like, just allow for different possibilities. Try to have an open mind in the East. So here you might want to surrender anxiety, surrender the need to know, surrender the need to have all the answers. Doesn't it feel good, Amy? And she says, I always feel like I'm the one flying and soaring. And a lot of us have to live these examples for other people, which is beautiful and challenging and beautiful, right? Oh, me too, Kelly, to see Venus in the morning sky. Sometimes you get that gift to see that. So Haley's going to let go of overthinking in the East, which is a perfect one, like the monkey mind, right? You didn't do this right. You could have done this better. Why didn't you do this? I wonder how this is going to go. What if this, blah, 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 all of that. Give that to the Eastern winds. Let hawk take that. Let eagle take that, right? And then what do you want to call in? That's right. You can do this 10 times a day, Danielle. There are times where I just stop, and sometimes I just engage one of the gateways. I will literally stop and face east and put my arms up and just work with that gateway. Call in hawk medicine, call in eagle medicine, elevate above the situation, take a deep breath, like really fill the diaphragm, and then release all of it. You can lay down and stretch your arms out. That's another really beautiful way of honoring Eastern medicine, is to lay out and just feel your own wingspan. Just stretch your arms up and out and create that expansion. Open your chest and your diaphragm, right? And feel your breath. Woo! Let go of worry here. Let go of fear. We're going to let go of in the south. So hold on to your fear for a second. Patience is here. Patience is also in the north. So there's two different places where you can release or surrender, like that wanting to do it fast, quick, figure it out kind of energy, which is very stressful, right? And let me tell you, that's right, Jessie B, your art is good enough. And let me tell you, you will heal this planet if you can embody what we're talking about tonight. When the rest of the world freaks out, when the rest of the world is unclear and confused, when the rest of the world is angry, when the rest of the world is afraid, if you can manifest and integrate and hold this space and tell yourself, I'm going to work with hawk medicine tonight, I'm going to rise above this, I'm going to see if I can get a bigger picture view, I'm going to really watch my breath, I'm going to expand, right? I really think that you become a living example of this. And then people will say, well, I want to do what she does. When Joanne gets stressed out, I've noticed that she takes a breath, she has these things that she does, I want to know how to do that, right? And that's how information gets transmitted and expressed. And so citrine is your stone medicine in the east. If you want to work with or have a representation on your altar, a feather represents the east as well, and because of course it's bird medicine. And then one of the things you can do with a smudge fan or with a feather, even just a single long feather, is kind of go over your energy field and dust it off. That's Eastern medicine too. And it has a real effect. Energetically, if you could see what you're doing when you move energy with a feather, it really does shift it. It purifies it, sort of like takes the lint out of your energy field. It was a weird metaphor, but it's true. And so we say thank you to the guardians of the East for helping us to surrender and receive Eastern medicine this evening. And we are blessed to greet you. And now I want you to turn your direction from the east to the south. So just 1/4 turn here. Eagle medicine and hawk medicine are different and similar. They're both high-flying birds whose purpose is clarity and perspective. So that's why I honor both of them. And some people feel more connected to hawk than they do to eagle, so I try to mention both because it doesn't really matter which one you feel more connected to. All right, moving to the south. Now this is a big, red, fiery gateway I want you to imagine. The southern gateway is warm to the touch, and it faces the direction of south. I'm here in California, so for me, this is Southern Hemisphere medicine. This is hot and a little feisty and a little fiery and it's transformation energies in the south. So this is purification, transformation. This is the gateway of playfulness and learning how to dance with your inner child. So if you have child issues, trauma before the age of 10, the south is where you can really go to purge and purify and release to the fire element anything that isn't serving you from childhood. This is where we connect with sensuality and desire. This is also where we connect with curiosity. I always teach my students that curiosity is a really powerful emotion because it actually activates the endorphins in your brain. It connects you to your pleasure center. And so when you feel curious, little things start to happen in your own biochemistry, and it changes your orientation to your problems. So when you're worried, stop being worried and get curious. Instead of saying, oh my God, what if this happens? Start saying, what other things could happen? And stay in a place of curiosity, right? So daddy issues, we're going to surrender in the north, actually. Although if you want to release them here and you're feeling called to, there's no wrong answers. Technically, the north is father and grandfather medicine, but you certainly can also release to the south, right? If you feel creatively blocked, This is where you're going to let that shit go. So right here, Guardians of the South, we greet you. We thank you for attending us in our circle this evening. And we ask that you help us to surrender a fear that we have. Fear of dying is a great one to release in the South, because the South is all about death and transformation. So any fears that we have, a lot of anxiety can also be released to the South. Too much seriousness, that corporate BS that we've been talking about, bye-bye to the South, right? You're composting. When you release these energies to the directions, think of it as composting it back into the earth so that it can be transformed and transmuted into something usable again, right? And so, yeah, fear of failure would be really good. Fear of success is another good one to release. Control issues for sure. If you feel sleepy in the South, that's interesting, Scarlett. What it means is maybe you need to, we're releasing right now, but when you receive from the South, maybe you need to receive stamina and empowerment, which are the gifts of the South. So maybe you're doing this with me tonight so that you can receive more of the energy of the South. Does that make sense? And so release, fear to try, fear of success, all the childhood trauma goes by letting that go. Sacral chakra trauma, including abortion would be here, miscarriage, any kind of traumatic experiences with pregnancy, infertility gets released here in the South, right? All of that goes there. Cesarean section, hysterectomy, anything also related to the testes for men, all of that goes there. There's your container for that, right? Just let that all move through. Thank you, guides of the Southern Gateway, for composting these energies that aren't serving us anymore. You can see it like big cords of energy that you're just narrowing and condensing and releasing to the direction. Sexual abuse, 1000%. That all goes in the South. Bye. Releasing. And spirit guides, we ask that you take from us this evening in these sacred directions anything that we are ready to release or be released from. Any contracts that are complete, no longer in our direct spiritual service, work that is complete and reconciled, we ask that you release us from old contracts if possible. And we ask that you take energies from us in the South that we can no longer carry. And now I want you to receive. So spirit guides of the South, Southern guardians of that beautiful gateway, we ask for the gifts of this direction this evening. We ask for playfulness, and we ask for curiosity, and we ask for boldness, right? All that fear you just released, you're going to have to replace that with bravery, courage, a willingness to try, a willingness to risk. Give us a little bit of inspiration, some juice down here in the South, right? Like, get us excited about life again. Help us to rediscover what our art is. I always thought I wasn't an artist because I don't paint. I'm sure I've told you this story before, but I was always like, I wish I was an artist, because I thought that you had to paint to be an artist. I really did. I didn't realize that when I make perfume that's art. But it is. That's one of my art forms. My canvas is your skin, and my paints are the essential oils. And I make painting that way, but it's not a painting, right? But that's still art. So I want you to kind of like maybe receive tonight what your art is and have an open mind to that. The crystal for the South, there's a lot of them. They're all the sacral stones. So carnelian is definitely South. Fire agate, fire opal is another really good crystal of the South. But I really love vanadinite, these are the actual pieces from my altar, by the way. So I'm showing you what I actually keep on my altar to honor the direction. So this is my personal piece of vanadinite from Morocco, and this is the ass kicker stone. Because in the South, we also release procrastination. Procrastination is an energetic excuse not to succeed. Do I need to say that again? Procrastination is an energetic excuse not to succeed. And people want to not succeed because there are a lot of people who feel that if they succeed, their life is going to change, and they don't want their life to change. So consciously they come to me and they go, I want to change. I want to stop procrastinating. And then you go, okay. And then what you find out is they don't want to stop procrastinating. They want to achieve, but they also want their life to stay exactly the way it is now. And if they stop procrastinating, something might change. Oh, Renee. Mwah. So no more procrastinating, right? If you're procrastinating, I want you to imagine me coming up behind you and kind of flicking you a little bit. I see you, Angel Moon, right? Like, it triggers me too. But a lot of us say we want to succeed, and then we do everything in our power to sabotage it. And I'm not judging you, because I do that shit too. If you succeed, your life will change. And if you don't want your life to change, then procrastinating sounds like a real good idea, right? I will. I'll come up right behind you and bing, bing, bing. So our spirit guides in the South are there's lots of them, but I like to work with wolf in the South. I like to work with fox in the South. I like to work with snake in the South. Snake is my favorite Southern totem because snake represents shedding old skin and being vulnerable to new experiences, which also heightens your sensual awareness. I'm a big fan in sexual relationships, in personal relationships, of rediscovering your partner over and over and over again. Shedding the skin of what you have been to each other in relationships so that you can meet each other in a new form. Like, ooh, who are you today? And, and I think that's kind of the secret to being in a long-term intimate relationship, is being willing to constantly rediscover. And that's what Snake teaches us. Snake teaches us that eventually old patterns are going to get so tight for you that you won't be able to move anymore. And if you don't shed that skin, you'll die in it. That's tough medicine from Snake, by the way. But you better shed that skin. And that's a physical metaphor. I mean, I exfoliate my skin in a crazy way because I believe energetically that's an exercise in purification. So I use a lot of salt every day to... but you got to shed that skin, or it will shed you, right? Aho. So Guardians of the South, we give you thanks for your support here, for helping us to release what isn't serving us, align to this direction, and to receive beautiful Southern medicine of transformation, shape-shifting, skin shedding, beauty, to see what's new and what's emerging within each of us. Aho. And then turning to the west, which is right over here for me, I can see the Pacific Ocean from my seat. Can't see the actual ocean, but I can see the last street behind it, next to it, so I can see right where it begins. Oh, you're so welcome, you guys. Enjoy it. No, Shannon, you're good, girl. She's like, I'm late. I'm too much Alice in Wonderland for that kind of ideology. I think you're never late. I think you're right on time. All right, so here in the west, it's my favorite direction. It's also my learning edge because I have very little water in my chart. My Mercury is in Cancer, and that's about all I've got. I think my Neptune is in Scorpio. But other than that, I got nothing. So, and those are sort of lesser planets. Crow for me goes into the west. It's a great question, Emily Flanders. I like crow in the west. In the west, we also work with dolphin and whale, the big fish, as it were. So the energies of the west, as we greet this gateway, I want you to imagine this gateway as a water gateway. Maybe it's a beautiful gate that's next to a river or a stream or right up against the biggest body of water you can imagine. Maybe you're imagining like tridents and, I don't know, mermaids, or you can decorate that western gateway however you want to. Let it just kind of expand in your consciousness. And so Guardians of the West, we greet you here with so much gratitude, grandmother energy, mother energy. This is the direction of unconditional love, right? Dolphin medicine is so powerful. Yeah, some people put crow in the north, and it has never resonated with me. Some people put bear in the west, which hasn't resonated with me. But I try to hold space because people do interpret things slightly differently, and I'm such a rule breaker that I'm going to be the last person to say, oh no, you're wrong. Crow goes over here. Like, you do you. So in the west, we're working with clearing and releasing energies. Think about the ebb and the flow of water, right? Like the tides rushing in and the waves rolling out. So that's, releasing. surrendering, clearing. I always think if you really want to understand what Western medicine is, have you ever watched a wave come up and completely flatten the sand? You know, like I've had my kids make like sand castles and different things, sand, and play in it, and then a big wave comes and everything is smooth and flat, like no one was ever there. You can't find our footsteps, you can't find what we built. And it's because the West just comes through and whew, it's a clean slate all over again. And I love that about the West, right? It's a built-in source of renewal. And every 5 seconds or every 10 seconds, it's coming through and it's just completely purifying what was there before. In the West, we find healing energy, body, mind, and spirit. We work with our intuition. We engage our creativity. In the West is nurturing because it's mother, grandmother energy, highly feminine. This is also where we surrender mother wounding, right? If you have any mother wounds, either wounds of being a mother, not being mothered well, not having, whatever your mother wound is, right? But prosperity is in the West. This is also Lakshmi medicine here in the West, because water in feng shui is the element of prosperity. So you have to think about that too. There's all of these sort of like, it's complicated in the West because it's abundance and prosperity and healing and flow. And that's why I love West so much, because that's what I need to learn. As a double fire sign with some earth thrown in there and a rising air, like I need to learn how to really flow and not sabotage or just get so angry or so fiery that I can't make sense. Do you know? It's like, this is my medicine. In the West, this is my personal piece of Larimar from my altar. Larimar is a beautiful watery stone that is mined off the coast of the Dominican Republic in the Caribbean, and that's the only place you find Larimar in the world. I don't think we have any in stock right now, but I love it so much. Water, that's exactly right. Stephen Aguirre said water is prosperous. It is, and water doesn't fight you. Do you know? Like water slips over you. Water's looking for the least resistance, right? So it's going to follow the easier path. And so for a fire sign, for an earth sign, for an air sign, we have to figure out how that works. Air signs get what that means in the thought process, but they don't get what it means in the emotional process. That's what air signs get to learn from water signs. They can think their way through a problem, but they can't purify the emotions around it. They can't imagine a different outcome. That's where the water signs come through. Okay. So our guides here, like I said, are crow, dolphin, and whale. Seashells on your altar, or blue and black stones on your altar, or just a big abalone shell with your smudging tools in it also represents the element of water and the direction of west. And so spirit guides of the West, guardians of this beautiful water gateway, we ask that you just wash over us this evening with a wave of emotional and physical and spiritual and mental healing this evening. And I'm going to ask that water, that wave of healing, touch each of you in exactly the place it's needed. And water is unapologetic. Water will touch every part of who you are. It can get through all of your cracks and your crevices and your resistance, and it will drench you, right? If you're not careful, it will drown you. All of the elements can take your life, right? And so it's about learning to respect the power of each of these elements too, and see that what is beautiful in the wrong quantity or the wrong context can be harmful. That's how nature teaches us balance, right? I see you, Deanna Franco. Oh, blue tourmaline for sure, Angela, would be so beautiful, which is known as indicolite, right? So blue tourmaline would be another really beautiful one. There's so many good watery stones. Fluorite for me has always felt very watery, especially like the green, kind of greenish teal fluorite always feels like water medicine to me too. Ocean kyanite, beautiful, right? So in the West now, I want you to surrender your pain, your physical pain, your mental pain. And I'm asking you to do a lot. But this is a good chance to do important work tonight. Set it down, what's on your heart tonight, right? Now take a picture and show us, Melissa. I would love to see, girl. Lemurian blue calcite, another beautiful one. And that's all right, Wayne. Like, join the club, my friend. So let's set it down tonight. Let's set down the physical pain, the mental pain, the emotional pain, the spiritual pain. Let's set all that down. Let's set down the resentment. Let's set down the anger. Let's set down the what I call lineage trauma, which is your mother hurt you, so then you hurt someone else. Like, let's just set all of that down. Let's set down any pain related to our own mother or to the experience of mothering tonight. Not enough, too much. Let's set down any sorrow or grief that we have this evening. If you're struggling because you're letting go of someone or something, let's kind of set that down for just a minute. And just, if you're willing, let Gaia come through with just one big wave and just wash it out. Give permission. I give permission right now, Gaia, for you just to come through with one big wave and take everything tonight that I need to set down. Take the pain, take the grief, take the resentment, take the not enoughness, take all that. I'm good. And on our collective behalf, just wash that sand clear. And now I want you to receive in the West. And this is where this could be a real shift for a lot of you. Well, Tasha, if you're sitting some shit down right now, you probably are feeling all the things, And tears come in the West because that's water medicine. Your tears are full of salt and they are purifying. It's actually really good for your face to cry. Did you know that? My mom's an esthetician, a skincare expert, and saline is really purifying for your pores. So crying may not look cute on you, but the result is something of an exfoliation for your skin, right? That's all right. Feel all the things. I mean, I'm here to hold this container so that you can do this work tonight, right? So now I want you to call in unconditional love, right? Love it. Rachel's calling in youthfulness. Love that. In the West, you can call in prosperity. All the prosperity you need. Every one of your needs met in the most divine, synchronistic, magical way for you. Oh, girl, I do cry. My students would tell you I have had legit ugly cries during class. I used to try not to because I thought, well, I'm a teacher or whatever. But what I learned after a couple of years is that it's actually really okay for me to fully break down sometimes because I'm actually doing the work too. And I think what it's created is a deeper sense of trust between me and my students because they've seen me and sometimes it's not even planned. I'll say something and all of a sudden it's just unconditional love, unconditional acceptance. I mean, I want you to imagine right now that you are receiving all of the love that you would ever need from a mother in your lifetime. And I love you guys for that. Well, I've got you too, I will go there. What else do you need, right? Love, acceptance, a little bit of nurturing, someone to say, are you okay? Do you need anything? How can I help you? Why don't you lean your head on my shoulder? You know what I mean? All of that mothering, kind of nurturing energy. I'm here for you. I know you're tired, right? All the things we were talking about earlier. Maybe you should have a nap. Can I fix you something to eat? Right? Cuddles, right? Crystal Scarlet. Yeah. And I have always mothered everybody in my life. I still do. I mean, and I try to do it in the most functional way possible, meaning I still hold people accountable for their shit. But I will be the first person to say I don't mind mothering people. I don't think it's dysfunctional to show people unconditional love. I think it's life-changing. And I think that we can have an experience of unconditional love even virtually, I believe that to be true. A safe place to land, that's right, Lynette, and a soft place to land. Feminine is so important. You have to feel, even if you have to provide it for yourself, you have to feel like there's some place in the world that's like a big down pillow. And you can just lean there. And you don't have to be anybody else. You don't have to do anything to be worthy of it. It's just always there. I say it's someone leaving the light on. You know what I mean? Like, the light's always on. And then that allows you to go through your life and feel confident, right? And you can become a safe place to land. You can become the soft place to land. And I have become that for myself. And this is one of the things I really want you to come to. What I cannot find in other people, I have learned how to give to myself. And I will say things to myself like, you know what? You're tired. Why don't you take a break? You need a minute. You know what I mean? Or don't push yourself so hard. It's all going to be okay. You can do the rest tomorrow. But I have learned how to mother myself in a good way without feeling like, but I should get it all done today, and I'm not smart enough, and I'm not productive enough, and like all that. I will tell myself, you know what? It'll be there tomorrow. You did a good job today. And that's healing. That's magic. And so, spirit guides, guardians of this beautiful gateway, we ask that you take from us emotionally and in terms of pain tonight what we can't hold, and we ask that you offer back to us a soft place to land, a big, beautiful down pillow of emotional support, a place for us to find nurturing, a place for us to feel held and unconditionally loved and seen. And we give thanks. And then, last step, and you, by the way, I'm doing this in a long way tonight, but you can do this really fast. I mean, you can literally go, all right, I'm in the east, imagining hawk, I'm flying above, I'm releasing my stress. Okay, I'm in the south, I see fox, I see snake, I see the fires of transformation, I release my anger. In the west, like you'll start to learn how to do it in a quicker way. Oh, I love that. Casey said it's a weighted blanket of love. I really love that. That's a really good metaphor. Oh, Renee. Well, you know what? I would say the world needs more of you. The world needs more of this. And so if each of you goes out after tonight in some way that's unique to you, and you manifest this for yourself, and even better if you can do it for somebody else, like that angry person in your life who probably, I will tell you, when you approach someone who's angry and you ask them, are you okay? Is there anything I can help you with? 3/4 of the time, maybe sometimes even like 90% of the time, they will turn around and look at you in shock and probably burst into tears. People are angry because they're all dried up and they don't believe that there's real love anymore. And they don't believe that there's goodness in the world. And they don't believe that people have pure intentions. And so if you kind of like tap on the shoulder and say, listen, I know I'm not trying to add to your pressure, but I was just wondering, is there anything I can do to help you or support you in any way? It's pretty intense what you can get out of people. And then if they are willing to turn around and look at you and burst into tears, which happens to me a lot, in my work, then it's like that conversation is life-changing. And afterwards, they'll end up saying like, I don't want to be this way. It's just life has made me like this. It's like even the angriest, crustiest, most, skeptical person still wants to believe that there's beauty and magic in this world because they still have a soul. And it may be covered with barnacles and all kinds of weird shit that happened to them, but if you can scrape enough of that off and make human contact, a lot of people are waiting for someone to say, are you okay? Just make sure you have tissue, All right, so last we turn to the north. The northern gateway is, for me, it's covered in trees. Like, to me, the north is all the tree people, the tree kingdom, it's grandfather medicine. The animal spirit guides in the north are all the big, slow movers, okay? Think bear, think elk, think buffalo. Deer's in the north too, right? So think about these animals that are slow moving but highly attuned to their environment. There's incredible wisdom and intelligence in the north. And there's a subtle sort of unspoken It is the hippie direction. And even like in the northern part of the United States, you can feel this energy. Even if I'm a Californian, born and raised, but I've lived in San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles, Central California, and I've lived in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I will tell you, you can feel the tree medicine in San Francisco, and you can't in San Diego. But there's all kinds of fiery energies of transformation in San Diego because you're right on the border of Central America and all of that magic, right? So in the north, the energies available to us are knowledge and wisdom, gentleness and tenderness. A lot of tenderness in the north, but it's paternal. This isn't maternal tenderness. This is paternal tenderness, grandfather tenderness. There's protection and gratitude. There's kindness and patience, as well as forgiveness in the north. Right? Do you feel it in New York? For sure, Lorian, right? I always feel it when I'm in New York too. And certainly in Wisconsin, I feel it. I haven't been to North Dakota yet. It's one of the few states I have not been to in the United States. It's on my bucket list. I just haven't had a chance to get there before, but I've spent a lot of time in New York, and 1,000%, especially the more north you go in New York, you start getting towards Syracuse and Buffalo. I mean, how can you not feel that medicine, right? Pacific Northwest, the PNW, all the way, right? All the way from, especially once you hit Portland, it's like you're in it, but you get to Seattle. Idaho's the same medicine, right? Alaska, obviously, right? You guys have cornered the market. And Canada, 1,000%. So, and in the north, I like calcite medicine. This is the piece from my altar, which is called an asteroided calcite. It's a calcite star. Do you see? Calcite is good northern medicine, especially white calcite like this. Calcite attracts loving kindness to you. It brings happiness and lightness of spirit, which to me is grandfather medicine. What's ironic is I didn't have a grandfather. I never met either of my grandfathers on either side. But my dad is a grandfather to my children, and he's an amazing grandfather. So what I know about grandfathers has been vicarious. Because both of my grandfathers died before I was born. Powerful men who lived through a lot and saw a lot and experienced a lot, but just weren't able to be there for me in the physical. Yeah, zoisite I would say would be good for the north. Tree agate's a really good one for the north. Bloodstone, a lot of your green jaspers are really good for the north too. Forgot to mention ocean jasper for the west is another really great stone. But again, it's mined out of the water, and so it has a lot of water energy attached to it. So I want you to close your eyes. Salt, by the way, is good on your altar to represent the north too. So crystals on your altar represent the north, and salt. Calcite in any form, but mostly white and clear calcite. Orange calcite goes in the south because that's for sexual energy. So careful with your calcite. You could end up having an erection instead of curing your father issues. Himalayan salt is good. Petrified wood, Fernanda, 1,000%. Like that is probably the best suggestion. Moss agate would be really good. I mean, I'm not going to have an erection, but you could have one if you're equipped. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes. Guardians of the Northern Gateway, we give thanks to you this evening as we approach. And I find myself kind of resting in the comfort of the north. The trees are strong and old. The grandfather energy is strong and wise and old, and it's elder energy, it's teacher energy, it's energies of wisdom and alignment and truth and echoes of consciousness and connection to source energy. Because once you get past the north, right, then you move into the astral dimensions, and so it's kind of like the gateway to all consciousness, right? I throw those little things in for two reasons: one, to make you laugh, and two, to see if you're paying attention. All right, so in the north, we're going to surrender everything that's the opposite of what I told you. So fear for your physical safety, bye-bye in the north, right? Feelings of incompetence, like you're not smart enough or not good enough or not worthy enough. Do you ever feel that? Like I go through it sometimes, like, I'm getting older and like my memory isn't as good as it used to be, and I start getting hard on myself, like I used to be sharper, you know? Like all of those feelings have to go in the north by, right? You get hard on yourself. So all of that, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't know how to do that, all that by, right? Ingratitude or entitlement energies all get released in the north, feeling like, because there's humility in the north. The north says you're very special and you're very important, but you're not any more special or important than everybody else. So take your place. It's a little bit of a humbling message. That's right, Lola Buddy. Do you remember Jack Handy, you guys? Am I dating myself? But all the Jack Handy messages go in the north, right? Like you're good enough, you're smart enough, people like you. Anger gets surrendered in the north. How many pissed off grandfathers do you know? Because most grandfathers I know were feisty younger men, but now they're like evolved, wise counselors. So all of the petulance of youth, right, gets surrendered in the north. We're more patient here. Was yours really angry all the time? That's really too bad, Renee. So let's let his energy go in the north, and let's call in like a new grandfather wisdom stream for you that's a little more gentle. Gansito's was cranky. I don't like cranky men. I will just say that right now. Like I can tolerate a lot. I'm not a judgmental person, but cranky boys get on my nerves. I don't care what age they are. Oh. See, Ursula's was a calm and guiding force, right? Grandpa Jack Handy for me and Lola. That's all I got. So he'll be my grandfather for today. Grandfather tobacco medicine in the north. Yes, very much. Carolyn Messier, thank you for that. Okay. I want you to close your eyes and imagine deer and elk and buffalo. There's a quiet majesty in the north. Have you ever been out in the forest and encountered these animals in the wild? Because I have, and you watch them and they're watching you too, but there is such an extraordinary level of peace, and the way those animals carry themselves, like there's a grace. And so when you're really stressed, like if you only have one direction to go to, if you say, Athena, I got to pick one, I'm having a panic attack, I'm in my car and I need some directional medicine, I would say go north. Call in the guardians and the guides of that gateway and ask them to strengthen you like a tree and to fill you with a sense of divine compassion, grandfatherly compassion, right? Majesty, patience, forgiveness, gratitude, allowing. In the north is where we recognize the fullness of time. When you're having an anxiety attack, I guarantee you're not recognizing the fullness of time. You're freaking out, and you're freaking out about something right now, or something that happened yesterday, or something that might happen tomorrow. But you're not thinking 20 or 60 or 3,000 years from now. So one of the things I love about the north is that it gets me out of my head, and it reminds me life is long. This is a marathon. I'm worried about this one little dumb thing down here, and I need to back up and look at the forest and see these big slow moving creatures and see these trees that are 5,000 years old, and recognize that my problems aren't so big, and that I have plenty of support if I can learn to rely on nature and to rely on my spirit animal helpers in a new way. Oh my goodness, Andrea, 1,000%. Take some of his tobacco. The most beautiful, what I like to do, I don't have any of it right here to show you, but maybe I can find it and take a picture and post it later. I have a little jar at home, and it's full of ceremonial tobacco with, I dry rose petals out of my garden, and it has crushed up rose petals from my garden, and then it has lavender buds, dried lavender buds, and put that in a pipe like this and smoke that. I'll actually give you a little tobacco right now if I have a better lighter to do this. Let me see if I can do it with this one. This is Mapacho tobacco. Let's see if I got that rid of that. Let's see. Let's see if I got it. Might not be enough. I have a cigarette here that I can give you a little bit, just so you can experience the energy of tobacco as an offering. I do this sometimes for my students, and they love it. And if you have pain, what I like to say is, I don't smoke cigarettes, by the way. I use tobacco ceremonially only. And this tobacco from South America is 100 times stronger than like cigarettes, so you cannot inhale it. I'm going to give you a Mapacho kiss. If you have pain, you can put that part of your body up against where you see me, and I will send the medicine to the place in you that hurts. Right? That's a very sacred grandfather blessing to you, from my heart to yours. And it's a good reminder that I gotta get my pipe clean. Did you feel it? Lola's body slamming the screen. My kind of girl. All right, Guardians of the North, thank you for taking from us what is too heavy to carry. Thank you for allowing us to receive grandfather medicine this evening, tree medicine, medicine of protection and stability. We give thanks to you. Aho. And so we've gone clockwise. We've walked the whole circle tonight. We want to gently release the guardians of those directions too and give thanks. Did you feel it? Did you kind of smell it too? I'm not surprised, you guys. I've been doing this a long time. I absolutely 3,000% believe that you can get the energy through the screen, and that a lot of people actually do smell it, and you're not crazy. Magic is real. So to the Guardians of the North, we thank you and we release you from our circle this evening. Thank you for the stability and the patience and the kindness that you've offered us. Thank you, Elk and Buffalo, for teaching us how to move slow, not to rush through this life, releasing our anxiety to you. Guardians of the West, we thank you and we release you this evening. Thank you for that motherly embrace, that nurturing, that kindness and softness and gentleness. We release you. Guardians of the South, we thank you for the beautiful courage and playfulness and curiosity that you're showing us this evening. Thank you for taking from us the rage and the fear and the emotions that we can no longer carry, helping to connect us to our deeper desires and passions. And Guardians of the East, we release you with gratitude. Thank you for creating spaciousness in our minds and in our hearts this evening, helping us to take a break, take a breath, give yourself physical space, tell people you need a minute. I give you permission to say, I need a minute. Create the space that you need. And Guardians of the East, thank you for modeling what it looks like for us to be spacious, to claim our space, peace of mind. And with that, our beautiful circle is complete. I hope you've learned about some things tonight that are going to Jubilee's at the hospital right now, sending love. Yeah, well, and it's just a reminder. It's just an invitation, as all things are. One of the things, I showed this on Instagram earlier, but one of the things that I created for the shop today for sagegoddess.com, did you see these? Is I had written this little poem, and we had them engraved on these little agate slices. And I designed this to go in your bathroom. That's where mine's going to go, on my sink. You could put it anywhere, but I need like a morning reminder. It says, energy follows intention and words create reality. Speak and write your visions with confidence and love. Amen, aho, and so it is. So it's just a constant reminder. So if you didn't see those today, we're not going to have those back before the holidays. And I think that would be a really good gift to give someone too. They're all different too. Like all the different agates they're all in this sort of like neutral color wave, but like this one has like a pink heart on the inside of it. So enjoy that in case you didn't see those today. Aren't they neat? One of the things I'm trying to do is not just sell like a tumbled stone, but to sell something that is going to be a reminder to you, a conscious reminder to you. Like, my team and I are very aware that it's important to have things that you will use and things that are actually going to shift your awareness and your frequency and your vibration, because that's the key to changing your life one step at a time, right? So anyway, Team SG put the link up for you if you'd like one. I want to say thank you to you. This was one of my favorite Cosmic Comforts ever. I really felt such a deep and beautiful and sincere connection with all of you this evening. I want you to know that I see you. I don't have all the answers, and I'm still working through this myself, but I'm doing better all the time, you know? And well, thank you for that. And thank you for seeing me too. You know, it's very, very profound. And I want you to have, it's like I said, it's great to have crystals. I love perfumes and essential oils, but I want you to have tools that you can use if you are in your car and you got nothing. And that was my intention tonight. And so now you know how to talk with the guardians of the 4 gateways. You know what animal spirit helpers reside there. You know what energies you can release and what you can call in. And sometimes you may just want to work with the north, or may just want to work with the west, and that's okay too. But hopefully after tonight you have a tool to guide your practice. And that was my intention. I'm so glad. Well, I wish you guys a beautiful rest of your evening. Like I said, thank you for taking some time out with me. It really means a lot to me. And I really do think that we are shifting consciousness. So when you lose hope and you lose faith, just remember, there are a lot of us who are trying to create a new model of what it means to be human at a time when we are inundated with complex energies that I don't think humans are really equipped to handle. And so we're learning as we go, but I see you and I thank you and I love you too. I really, really do. All right, good night, you guys. Thank you, Team SG, for moderating too. As always, I'm grateful to them as well. What an incredible team I have. It takes a village, and I've got a really good village. And thank you too for being part of my village. So I will see you next month for Cosmic Comfort. I do teach online classes. A lot of you are in them. If you would like to learn more with me, you're always welcome. Our June classes are focusing on creativity and inspiration. So if you've been feeling like your well's a little dry, you can always go to sagegoddess.com under classes and find out more about Soul Shift and Magical Sabbatical, which might be good for you. All right, you guys. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Isn't that cool? Accidental Life Tammy said it actually really made her think to the 4 corners around her home and meditations in the past few years. And one of the things you can do too is you can actually set up tiny altars around your home with just 1 or 2 items in the directions. And so as you go about your daily life and your daily business, it'll remind you, I'm in the south. There's that carnelian sphere. Or, I'm in the north. There's that little piece of calcite. You know, like they're just reminders to stay aware. Aho. Love you guys. I'll see you very, very soon. Take care of you guys.